Welcome back to Margarita Mondays. I'm your host, Laura, and this is
Jessica.
So today we're going to talk about Manifestation 101. We've had a couple of people say, teach me how to manifest. Well, it's an entire process, and there's so many different ways to do it, and different strategies work for different people. And so we're going to just start by talking about energy so that it easily sort of segues into the steps for manifestation.
And today is the 1111 portal. So this is a gateway into opening up your manifestations and using the energy of the universe to create whatever you desire with ease. So now is a perfect time to grab a pen and paper and take some notes, because we're going to be talking about how you can create anything you want. We are creating everything we're experiencing, whether we're conscious or unconscious.
Exactly. And everything is energy. So the first step is really becoming aware of what it is that you want to manifest in your life. Mm-hmm. So whether it is more freedom, more money, a relationship, identifying what it is that you would love is the first step. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I noticed, and I even noticed it with myself, was identifying something that you want can sometimes seem more challenging than identifying the things you don't want. And so sometimes when I ask people, what it is that you want, they'll give me a list of 10 things they don't want. So energetically, they're in a state that matches the list of things that they don't want.
Yeah, so you attract what you are.
Yeah.
So if all day long you're like, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my bills? I don't get paid enough, I don't get paid enough, I don't get paid enough. You have this loop that's running on probably autopilot that you don't even know is happening, and then you continue to feel like you just don't have enough money. Mm-hmm. So it's like a radio station. If you think of everything on a frequency, it's like if you want to listen to country music, you have to turn to the country station. So if you want to listen to rock music, you have to tune the station to a different frequency. And so the frequency of lack and poverty and zero money in your bank account is not the same as the frequency of whatever amount of money that you desire. So first, becoming aware that you want more money is a good place to start, but then you have to tune the frequency. So this is where you get to ask yourself, like, what does it feel like to have money? How do I feel with money in my bank account? How do I feel with, the abundance that I desire? And a lot of people, they'll say, I don't know how to feel that. And it's like, surely you have, because you've probably gotten a tax return.
Yeah. Right. You've got, everybody gets paid. If you have a job, you likely get paid.
And you probably don't get paid every day. So you get paid for 2 weeks or a month's worth of work on one day. So it's probably a big chunk. Mm-hmm. So if you know what it feels like to get paid, whatever, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 on one day, you can feel that feeling every other day, even when you don't receive that money. Right. And that's the trick. It's like, if you can feel that feeling, even when you're not getting that money, that's what's going to bring the money.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about working with a coach is they can help you unpack all of this stuff. Because, if I was, for example, coaching Jessica and she said, I want more money, and then told me, I don't know what it feels like to have more money. And then I said, well, think about payday. And then she's like, oh, that feels good. But then that feeling's fleeting. I might say, what is it that you think more money will bring? And then what's one thing more money brings?
Oh my God, the freedom to choose.
Okay, so freedom. So then I would ask, when do you feel free? And she might say, when I'm swimming, I feel free. Yeah. So imagine yourself swimming because you feel free, and it's that same energetic feeling as you desire that money will bring you. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It's true. You can tap into the feeling even without doing the thing. And also, I do have one coaching client that says he loves surfing, mm-hmm. but he hardly goes surfing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, do the things that bring you the feeling that you think whatever your desire is going to bring you now. Do more of it. Squeeze it into your day. Prioritize it. Make that commitment. Like, I just think there's so many ways to feel what you feel before you actually have the manifestation. Like, for me, seeing the sunrise. It makes me feel so happy. So I think that having a relationship is going to bring me joy or happiness. So get up for the sunrise so I can feel it now.
Yeah.
Right? Money, like what is money going to bring? Money doesn't do anything until you spend it, until
Right.
you use it, right?
Right.
So there's lots of things you can do that bring you that feeling without actually spending money.
Oh, yeah. And money is just a tool. I think a lot of people think money will bring more happiness, but money tends to then just amplify whatever you are. So if you're a miserable human and then you find some sort of way to make a shit ton of money, you're not going to all of a sudden be happy because money does not bring happiness, right? Money definitely for a lot of people can bring a sense of safety and security, right? Just being able to know that your bills are paid and that you can feed yourself or your family or whatever. But really uncovering what it is that you desire from, an abundance of, money is a really important thing to address when figuring out what it is that you desire and what it is that you want to manifest in your life.
Yeah, and one thing that I learned on my journey was I was always noticing and talking about my current reality. And so I just kept recreating the same reality because the law of attraction states that that which is like unto itself is drawn. So if you wake up every day and you're like, oh, my business is not really growing and I'm just doing this and that and whatever else, and the money's not coming, then your business is not really going to grow and the money's not really going to come. And that's just going to keep playing over and over and over again because we attract what we are. So I was saying that I was like, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? Why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? And I was in the gap of like the abundance that I desired and where I was at. And I remember saying to myself, I was living in Costa Rica at the time, and I was in a mastermind, and I was just talking to one other girl. And I said to her, oh my goodness, I cannot create from this place of wondering. Because if I had the money I desired, I wouldn't be asking, where is it? Two different frequencies. So that day I had an aha moment and I thought to myself, if I live this life for the rest of my life, I will be happy because I live in Costa Rica. I go to the beach every day. I get my iced lattes every day and I work for myself. So I had a lot of freedom to choose how I spent my day. And so I made a decision in that moment that I was going to be grateful for exactly where I was. And if nothing ever changed, I would be happy. And I truly would have been happy. And then, like 3 months later, I tripled my income.
I just want to piggyback on that because you said deciding to be grateful. Literally, gratitude is an amplifier, it's an attractor, it's like a magnet. This is why, for the past 10 years, people have been like, journal about what you're grateful for. Like, it's not just like a corny, optimistic person's suggestion for you to have a better life. It actually works. If writing it down doesn't feel good, just pause in the morning before you get up and just think of 3 things that you're grateful for. Another action step that you can take is text somebody and tell them that you're grateful for them. You might just be in your kitchen or your bed and be like, I'm so grateful for this bed, or I'm so grateful for this kitchen. Finding and recognizing all of the things in your life you've already manifested and practicing gratitude for those things will put you into the energetic alignment of what it is that you are currently focusing on manifesting. Right?
Yeah, there's a movie. I'm not sure if it's from The Secret or from the Heal movie. And he says he gave this gratitude rock to someone. And I think it was
From The
because
Secret.
his son was sick, wasn't it?
So the story is this guy has this gratitude rock, and I think he always keeps it in his pocket because it's a reminder to him to think of the things that he's grateful for. So he pulls it out of his pocket and he's rubbing this rock or whatever. And this gentleman comes over and comes up to him and says, what is that you have? And he said, oh, this is my gratitude rock. And he said, oh, well, what does that do? He's like, it's a reminder of all of the things that I need to be grateful for. And then I feel like it's essentially an attractor. He goes, oh, that's really cool. I think in that moment, he may have said, I could really use a gratitude rock. my son is sick and we're not quite sure what's wrong with him. And then I think he gave him one, and then he also mailed him some. Like he didn't say like it's a secret rock that I found somewhere. Like he just went down by a river and found some rocks, picked the best ones and mailed them to him. And this guy's son got better. And then they wanted more gratitude rocks for their village because he lived in I think maybe a third world country where, not everybody was as affluent as in America. And so it was just a testament to the power of gratitude.
And he said everybody's lives were changing.
Yes.
Like everybody was happier and everybody was healing themselves. And like, what is this magic rock?
Yeah.
And that's how simple it is. So that's why it's interesting. We're having this conversation today, but a lot of people think that manifesting is so complex, but it's actually really, really simple. It's like we want it to be some like foreign thing that we have to study, that we have to pay for, but we are manifesting all day long.
All day long.
Every feeling we have is a manifestation. Every experience we have, every physical thing that we have, the way our body feels, the ailments that we have, they're all manifestations. But I think it's important because it's like we're not always conscious of what we're manifesting. So if you just leave it up to fate and leave it up to whatever, you just run into whatever is out there. So that's why if we have this conversation today, you can be a deliberate creator. You can be an intentional manifester. And so if you feel called to, go out and get a rock today.
Yeah.
And just keep it in your pocket and think about how healthy you are and, your family and friends that you have. And, if you're an entrepreneur and you're just starting out your business and you haven't reached your goals yet, just think about like that you manifested starting your own business. Like that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's really helpful if you're struggling to recognize everything that you've accomplished, to go back over the last 5 years and write down things that you have manifested intentionally. I think if you're really new to this and you haven't been intentional about your thoughts and how you feel, you'll find a whole bunch of different manifestations that came about just because. But also I'll write down things I manifested that maybe aren't desirable. So for example, one time I was off to get salsa and my car was parked, and as I was coming out, I saw some guy just drive into my car. And I thought, I think I manifested this. Because I had just recently said to a friend, she had said that and someone had backed out of her driveway into a neighbor's car. And then they drove off and didn't stop. I said, who would do that? That's crazy. People stop if they hit your car. And then my car gets hit. The guy gets out, he stops, proving that
what you believed.
My manifestation, proving what I believed. And so then I even wrote that down as proof that I manifested it. I mean, there's lots of really great things that I've manifested as well. But I just want you to know that if you're new to this, like pay attention to everything you think that maybe you've manifested in your life. And where we are right now is essentially a manifestation of the thoughts and feelings we've had years ago. So taking the time to be intentional about what we think and how we feel now is for your future self. So just remember that this is for your future self.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people think that manifestation, you have to be positive all the time and you have to only think from the outcome and you have to only think of being the version of yourself with that manifestation. And that is not true. Because you're allowed to feel all emotions, you're allowed to have negative moments, but it's about the dominant frequency that you're on. It's about the dominant energy that you're in. So if you let the feeling of lack take over your entire day and you only think a couple times a day, like, oh, I love being abundant, you're going to be like, why isn't anything changing? Why isn't anything changing? It's because the dominant feeling is of lack and scarcity. So, but if you think, like, oh, I'm just going to be positive all day today, and then you go to think like a negative thought or you feel sad about something, And then you're like, wait, I can't think that way, or it's going to ruin my manifestation. No, no, no. You're allowed to feel that, and you should feel that, because if you think of the body as like water, you want it to be fluid, you want energy to run through you. And anytime you resist feeling, it's like you hang on to that energy instead of actually letting it go. So it's actually better to feel it and let it go than it is to tell yourself, oh, I can't feel negative, because then you store it in the body. And if we attract based on the energy that we're in, if you keep storing these negative experiences or these feelings of sadness or grief or whatever, that does impact what you allow into your life.
Definitely. And knowing that the art of manifestation isn't about just feeling good all of the time, because that would get real boring real fast. And so allowing yourself to feel the spectrum of feelings and emotions, but not get stuck in them, is the key to manifestation. So like Jessica said, allowing for the feelings to move through you is going to benefit you and assist you in manifesting, versus pretending like you don't feel certain things. That is you taking that and being like, oh, I'm going to hold on to that, right? Whereas if you allow yourself to feel it and then let it go, then you're able to then tap into a better feeling thought that is going to move towards what it is that you are currently manifesting.
So let's simplify this, okay? So if you think about wanting to manifest something, first you want to identify it. That's setting the intention. Abraham Hicks talks about this 3-step process, which is ask, believe, and then receive. So you're asking for it by setting the intention, getting very clear about it. If it feels good to be specific and to see the details, great. If it feels like you don't believe it when you talk about the specifics, go more general. That's fine. Everybody's different. But the believe part is really the universe hears whatever it is that you desire. You are co-creating with something that is greater than you. And it's like, you know, think about a time when you didn't know how something was going to happen and then it just magically happened. That's because we have something working with us, right? Someone is magically healed, or you make it to something on time and it feels like a miracle. Those miracles are because we are co-creating with something else. So once you ask for it, it's like it goes out into the universe and they are working in your favor to make it happen. But then the third one is receiving. And the third one is like being on the frequency of letting it in. It's like that art of allowing. It's like the gratitude is the state of receivership, right? It brings it to you. So the receiving is like being on the frequency of it. So I'll give you an example. Years ago, I wanted more money because I thought more money was going to give me the life that I desired, right? Like a lot of us think that way. And I would go out with friends or out on dates or whatever, and people would offer to pay for me, and I never accepted. I would always shove the money in their purse or fight them to pay for it, whatever. All these years later now, I have hindsight, and I can see that the universe was trying to provide for me what I asked for, but I was not allowing it. So if you think of step 3, think about yourself, whatever it is that you desire. You could be given whatever it is you want, and you could be saying no to it. We have this idea that whatever we desire is going to come in a certain way, but there are multiple ways that it can come to you. Like a lot of people believe that the only way to make more money is through their work, but that's not true. It can come through inheritance, the lottery.
You could find money at the library. You don't know. There's like a million different ways that things can happen, right?
Yeah, there's a story actually. Abraham Hicks tells the story of this woman who wanted to go on an Abraham Hicks cruise, and she got on the frequency as if she was at the cruise. She just got in her delusional state of being and she was like, I'm going on a cruise, I'm going on a cruise. Had absolutely no idea how it was going to happen, but she was open to receiving the way. So the universe was working in her favor over here, and she was in her delulu like, I'm going on a cruise, I'm going on a cruise. And the more you do that, the more you're going to believe it, right? So in the beginning, if you don't have the $3,000 to go on the cruise, you might say to yourself, oh, I'm on a cruise. And your body might be like, you're a liar. Pay attention to that, but keep persisting in it. This is where repetition is really key. If every day you can just be like, where, if I keep imagining it, who knows, there may be a way, like being open to it.
Can
And
I add to that a little
yeah.
bit? So I just want to add that sometimes you have to just keep this stuff to yourself. Unless you have someone else who's also really good at getting in the delulu and being like, I'm going on a cruise too. Because if you start telling people I'm going on a cruise, they're going to ask you how. And then
or that's a lot of money,
right,
or like
they're gonna
whatever.
come up with a million different reasons why you're not going on a cruise. So not sharing some of the information about what it is that you're manifesting can be powerful.
Yes. So this person probably kept it to herself. Imagine she was on the cruise, was listening to Abraham every day, feeling herself on the cruise, seeing Abraham, like got into the feeling of it. She got into the emotions of it. She's like, oh my God, this is so exciting. This is so exciting. And because she was open and she was on that frequency, she was literally hiking and looked down and saw something shiny. She thought, that looks like a diamond. No way that's a real diamond. She picked it up anyway. And she could have thought, oh, this is just a piece of junk. Like it's probably some cubic zirconia, whatever. But instead, she took it to a jeweler and it was a diamond earring that was worth $10,000. She cashed it in, went on the cruise. So this is where our goal with this podcast is to tell you some of the simple ways that you can manifest, but also to hear stories that to help you build a belief that it can happen in any way.
Oh, so many different ways.
But she wouldn't have seen that diamond earring if she was walking that trail thinking, how am I going to go? How am I going to go? I'm never going to go. How am I going to go? Why is it not happening? How am I going to make the money? How am I going to make the money? She wouldn't have seen the diamond.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like those stories that you hear about someone goes to a yard sale or a thrift store and they see a piece of art and they're like, I think that's an original. And then they look at the back and then they quickly buy it at a reduced price or whatever. And then go to find out that it's worth thousands of dollars.
It's like living in a state of possibility is what's going to help you manifest more and with ease. But a lot of our world, unfortunately, we live in a state of doubt.
And I want to add to that, manifest more of what you truly desire. Because I think a lot of people are very clear on what they don't want. And they're so focused on it, they'll just continue to live a life of things that they don't want. Right?
Yeah, and you can't have two thoughts at once. So if lately you've been thinking, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, and you're listening to this and you want more money or more business, more sales, you want to impact more people, whatever it is that you want more of, instead of having the thought of, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, if you just take today and think, I'm open to having more business. I'm open to receiving more money. I'm going to receive graciously if someone wants to give me money. When you think that thought, you can't think, I don't have enough, because you can't have two thoughts at once. And so I just always try to be intentional about what I'm thinking. So when I'm walking the dogs, for example, if I'm not intentional, my mind will just start thinking about all my problems and all the things that are not going well. But because I've now practiced how to be intentional, it's like when I walk the dogs, I'm like, oh, I love my life. Like, how free am I to just be able to walk the dogs whenever I want? And how lovely is it that I just had a beautiful coaching call and I get to do what I want and I get to make an impact, and I love my car and I love my family and I love this podcast and I just start rambling and going on a little rampage of all the things that I love, and then I see more things to love.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that Jessica and I have both done that is a powerful practice is maybe you're not in the mood to think about all the things that you're grateful for. Maybe you're just so down in the dumps that you're like, this is dumb. Well, okay, think of something neutral, like a blue butterfly. That's one thing Jessica often recommends. I think of like a dragonfly, or I'll even say, or I've suggested to people, like, ask for a sign. Like it could be like an owl, or it doesn't have to be an animal. It could be something else. And then just focus your attention on that, because sometimes it's challenging to think of all of the things that you're grateful for, especially if this isn't something you've practiced a lot, right?
This is why we can't sum it all up into one
Right.
podcast episode. So take a couple of these tips and try them out. Think about tuning to the radio station of what you would love, showing more gratitude. I
Mhm.
mean, if you just wake up in the morning and say thank you in the morning, make that a practice. Put an alarm in your phone so that you remember to do it. Because the thing is like over time, we do things and they become a part of our program that we don't have to think about doing them. We run on autopilot. So if you want to make a change in your life, it's not just going to be today I decide I'm going to wake up and say thank you and then every day I'm going to do it. No, your body is going to want to wake up and say like, "Oh, I'm tired," because you've been saying that for 30 years. So set yourself up for success by using the tools that you have in your life. Like most people have their phone on them all day long. So I set alerts to go off in my phone to remind me of the things that I want to think about. And now it's just natural for me to think those things because I've been doing it for the past 3 or 4 years. So set the intention that today you're going to write down something that you would love and then you're going to be open to receiving it. I always tell people if you have a desire to fly first class to Japan and then somebody starts talking about Japan, that's a sign that it's in your consciousness that it is on its way to you.
Yeah.
So notice that and get excited about that.
Energetically, you're kind of in the same frequency.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's about feeling good. So if you're not feeling good and taking a shower makes you feel better, take a shower. If you're feeling stuck or, in a rut, but going for a hike makes you feel free and good, go for a hike. Read a book. Do whatever it is that you need to do to get out of whatever stuck emotion is your like pre-program so that you just are shaking things up a bit. One of the most powerful practices for me really was writing down daily 3 things I was grateful for. And it was challenging at first where I'd miss a day or two. And then I was like, okay, I'll go back to, I'm going to write down 1 thing I'm grateful for. Well, sometimes when you write down 1 thing you're grateful for, you think of 2 or 3 more. So then you write those things down. Now I'm at a stage in my life where I don't necessarily have to write them down to feel them on the regular, right? But it's become a habit that, sometimes I'm like, when I have a drink of water, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful for this water, right? So it just becomes a new program, like Jessica said. So yeah, there's lots to know about manifestation, but ultimately it's about tuning into the same frequency as what it is that you desire.
And the way that you can do that is being conscious of
Yes.
what you are thinking, what you are feeling, and making these little shifts throughout the day. A lot of people think that they need to just like completely transform their life in a day. It's like, no. If when you're brushing your teeth, you're just like, I'm so grateful for my life, that is going to have a powerful impact. It compounds over time. So
baby steps are ultimately quantum leaps.
They really are.
Yeah.
So whatever you desire, it's all done. It's all
waiting
yours.
for you.
It's waiting
Your
for you.
manifestations are waiting.
Yeah. Oh
Just
my
like
goodness.
mine.
What did you say to me in Poland? Many people are waiting for their manifestations, but your manifestations are waiting for you.
Yes.
And I thought, oh my gosh, it's true. We sit and wait for our manifestations being the exact same energy. They're never going to come.
Yep.
But if we become the version that's a match for that manifestation, that's how it comes. It's like, that's how some people kind of manifest like that because they choose to show up differently. So if you have a desire to get a promotion at work, think about who you are with that promotion, what you wear, what you think. Are you someone that dreads going to work? No, you're probably happy because you're in this new role. So how can you be happy now? Are you going to wear different clothes? Wear those clothes now, like step into that version in any way that you can. And just know that like it's all possible. It's all possible.
Everything is always working out for you.
And the universe always says yes, not yet, or something better.
Yes, exactly.
Never says no. But we live in a vibrational universe. So if you keep focusing on what is not wanted and then you keep seeing that, it's because they're saying yes to whatever you're focusing. So if you're like, I don't want to live in poverty, they're like, yes, Yes, we'll let you live in poverty.
Ultimately, usually when you aren't seeing money come in, it's because you're also resisting it. Like Jessica said, turning down someone paying for this, possibly turning down a job. It's like that little folklore, that saying that a man is drowning and a boat comes by and says, "Here, let me help you." And he says, "No, I prayed to God, I asked God to save me, I'm waiting for him." Then a guy comes by in a helicopter and says, "Let me help you." It's like, "No, I'm waiting for God." And then another guy comes by, I don't know, in a kayak and says, "Let me help you." And then the guy drowns and he goes, "God, why didn't you help me?" He said, "I sent 3 people to save you," right? So it's just getting into that third step of receiving too is so powerful. Okay.
You got it, guys.
Yeah.
Happy manifesting.
Yeah,
And happy 11/11.
Totally. Feel free to tell us something that you're grateful for if you're watching this on YouTube in the comments. And also feel free to declare something that you're manifesting.
Yeah, if you want a hype girl.
Yeah.
Or a hype gang.
Definitely.
We will hype you up.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see you next week.
Bye,
Thanks for
guys.
joining us for another episode of Margarita Mondays.
Happy 11/11.